Just 3 days before Christmas in 2008, the coal ash impoundment. An impoundment is just another word for a giant swimming pool burst in Kingston, Tennessee, releasing 1.1 billion gallons of toxic sludge that blanketed the nearby Emory River. That toxic stew that flowed out in 1 billion gallons into the river destroyed homes and 300 acres of surrounding land, creating a Superfund site that could cost up to $1.2 billion to remediate. Since this incident, the EPA has identified 49 other giant pools of coal ash across the country that are designated as high hazard. This means that if these impoundments were to fail, then it's not just the land that would be damaged, but human life would likely be lost. This Republican bill purports to be a solution to what happened in Tennessee. It claims to create standards for these giant pools that would ensure a TVA catastrophe won't happen again. But in fact, it excludes several key safety requirements, such as just accounting for earthquakes or surface erosion. And even worse, the very minimal requirements that are included in this bill only apply to new impoundments that are built starting 3 years after this bill is enacted. That's right, nothing even starts for 3 years, and it's got to be brand new. So more than 430 impoundments that we know of and are in use today are not even going to be covered by this bill, and they have been built by old standards, not by the new standards. That's like finding a fatal flaw in a car that's on the road, but only requiring car companies to fix the ones that have not yet been built and won't even come on the road for 3 years. Or like finding E. coli in chicken on grocery store shelves, but rather than issuing a recall today for the stuff that's on the shelves, they say there's rules that are going to go in place 3 years from now that just let the contaminated poultry continue to be sold. This amendment is a simple fix to this problem. It would require all impoundments to meet minimal safety criteria in this Republican bill. Those facilities that cannot meet basic requirements, such as installing liners so that this toxic coal sludge doesn't seep into the soil and the groundwater, will have 10 years to close their doors. Unless this amendment is passed, disposal of coal ash is in unlined, unsafe pits will be allowed to continue. In Missouri, there is an unlined impoundment that has been leaking more than 50,000 gallons of toxic liquid a day since 1992. It would not have to be fixed. Let me repeat that. 50,000 gallons of toxic liquid a day since 1992 has been leaking out of that facility, and it wouldn't have to be fixed under this bill. What are you saying to the people in Missouri? In Princeton, Illinois, a wet coal ash impoundment built in an earthquake fault area discharged dangerous slurry when an earthquake struck nearby last year. The spill contaminated a national wildlife refuge with selenium. A wetland that is home to an endangered bird species had to be drained, and 50 tons of fish had to be buried. Now, this Republican bill would allow that impoundment to continue receiving coal ash as well. And after the Kingston accident in 2008, the Tennessee Valley Authority approved a plan to voluntarily phase out all of their coal ash pond in 10 years and to eliminate high-risk storage facilities that pose a danger to people and property if they were to fail. If they can do it, shouldn't the other companies be able to do it as well? We shouldn't have to wait for another catastrophe like Kingston to happen before we require these basic safety measures to be employed at all coal ash ponds. I encourage my colleagues to vote yes on this amendment.